How far is too far? For filmmakers, for franchises, and for actors who dive so deep into horror, they don't come back the same. This is The Final Cut, your daily post in horror. I'm your host, Travis, and we're closing out the week with 3 major stories that hit every corner of the horror world. Insidious 6 wraps up production. Jon Watts reveals his mapped out 7 sequels to Clown. And Florence Pugh opens up about how Midsommar left her emotionally shattered. Let's dive in. First up, the Insidious franchise is officially on the move again. Director Jacob Chase confirmed the Insidious 6 has wrapped up filming, posting a photo on the clapperboard with the caption, "That's a wrap on the next chapter of Insidious. See you in August." Sony Pictures Malaysia followed up with a statement saying the film will haunt you exclusively in cinemas next year. Originally slated for August 2025, the film will now hit theaters on August 21st, 2026. Chase co-wrote the script with David Leslie Johnson, with horror titans Jason Blum, Oren Peli, James Wan, and Leigh Whannell producing. Fan favorites Lin Shaye, Amelia Eve lead the cast, but plot details remain tightly sealed. Classic Insidious secrecy. The last installment, The Red Door, became the highest grossing film in the franchise, so expectations are massive for this next chapter. My question for you guys is, where should the Insidious franchise go next? Deeper into the further or somewhere entirely new? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Next up, before he was directing Spider-Man for the MCU, Jon Watts made horror films. And now he wants to come back in a big way. In a new interview, Watts revealed that he and writer Christopher Ford have already outlined 7 films in a long-term clown horror franchise. Clown, released in the US in 2016, follows a man who puts on a clown suit and becomes cursed as an ancient demon. Watts now says he wishes he pushed the horror even further, wanting a sequel closer to Evil Dead 2 energy. Bigger, gorier, and wilder. He joked that he feels a little guilty for helping make Clown scary, but sees enormous franchise potential. Bro, you didn't make Clown scary. You ever heard of John Wayne Gacy? It's an evergreen premise. Anyone can put on the suit. Watts is fresh off producing Final Destination Bloodlines and still dreams of turning Clown into a full-blown cult saga, complete with a good clown somewhere along the 7-film outline. Best of luck. My question for you guys is, would you watch a 7-part clown franchise? I know Stacey Valdez would not do it. Or did the first film push your claustrophobia far enough? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. And finally, Florence Pugh is one of the best actors working today, but even she wasn't ready for the emotional aftermath of Midsommar. In a recent podcast interview, Pugh said the role really fucked me up, explaining that fully embodying Danny's grief left her sad and depressed for 6 months after filming. She described preparing for scenes by imagining the deaths of her own family members and said that by the end, she was going to her whole family's funeral emotionally. Pugh noted, "I definitely felt like I abused myself in the places I let myself go." She later realized the impact only after working on Little Women. She now avoids roles that require that level of emotional self-destruction. Though she remains proud of what she accomplished, it's a rare look at the cost of method-driven horror and a reminder that the scariest stories can leave scars long after the production ends. My question for you guys is, should actors push themselves to those emotional extremes, or should horror sets protect performers from that kind of psychological toll? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Today's take: from franchises expanding to emotional boundaries breaking, today's lineup shows the full spectrum of horror creation. Insidious 6 moves forward with legacy players and new visions. Jon Watts dreams of a 7-film clown nightmare. And Florence Pugh reminds us that great performances can take a real human toll. Horror evolves, but the cost, creative, emotional, physical, remains part of the art. Which story today stands out the most? Insidious 6 wrap, clown franchise plans, or Florence Pugh on Midsommar? If you got an industry news or horror scoop, DM us at HMUNCUT to get your tip featured. And don't send us your announcement on Variety and Deadline. Send us the actual press release. You sent it to them. I've had a couple people DM us their Deadline and Variety stories. We're like, we're going to see it anyway, so just send us the actual thing. And don't forget to vote in today's Spotify poll. We appreciate you guys sending it, though. We really, really do. That's it for today's Final Cut, your daily pulse in horror. I'm Travis. Rest, recover. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you watch some great films. I'm on my way to go see Keeper right now. Look for my thoughts on that later. You guys know the drill. We'll see you on Monday, bringing more exclusives. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, and follow for all the updates. Until then, you know the drill. As always, keep the lights on.